All right, welcome back. Today's video, we're going to talk about cutting and bulking and what you should do as a beginner in the gym, or quote unquote, the real answer, right? So I feel like this is the type of video I wish I would have had when I first started working out. But of course, I didn't bother to do my research. So when it came to the gym, it was just something to do because, I wanted abs like every teenage boy did at one point. So anyway, enough about me. So this is the picking the wrong thing could really waste months or years of progress. So I'm going to give you the no BS answer that I wish I had when I first started. So why this is important? Because like it's based off where you start. If you start fat, chubby, skinny fat, or skinny, those are four different venues. Well, there's kind of just two, but we'll just say four for the sake of this video, right? So if you bulk when you're already carrying too much weight or you're already like fat, you're gonna look soft and you're not gonna be as motivating. Because like even me, I'm having this issue because like I use the scale as one of my main forms of metrics, and seeing your weight go up sometimes can be kind of demotivating, especially because like you might not realize you're building muscle because you're new to the gym. But also, if you cut when you're small and skinny, you might look small and weaker, which is why like it's really important that you pick off something based on what your starting point is, right? So let me just give some general guidelines, and if you guys want something more specific, I can definitely make that in the future. But for example, like if you're chubby or fat, let's say you're above 18 to 20% body fat, I would suggest you cut. Yes, I understand that ideally. Oh, I want to build muscle. When you're first new to the gym, if you do a jumping jack and build muscle, obviously that's a little dramatic. But my point is, you get better insulin recovery. You get better insulin sensitivity. That's a better way. That's a better way of saying it, because your muscles more. You have more efficient muscle gain. I don't know why. I was trying to find a way that made sense to you guys. Also, easier to see progress in the gym. Your health just improves overall, and you're leaner. A perfect example for me is I love pancakes, right? So we'll just make this more personalized, right? The heavier you are, the more your insulin spikers are going to go off, right? The leaner you are, the not necessarily like it won't go off, but it's not as like high in a sense. I don't know how to explain it, but let's just trickle it back to me so I can like bring it full circle, right? So with me, when I was heavier, pancakes would always like spark it off, and that could potentially lead to me having like diabetes or something like that, right? Compared to like when I'm leaner, my insulin isn't as high, and it's not something I necessarily have to worry about. So overall, I don't know if that made sense, but if you're higher in body fat, you want to cut. That way you can like potentially increase your health. You see better results in the gym, which will increase for you to be more motivated in a sense, and you're like more likely to stick to it. Now, on the other hand, if you're skinny fat or you're lean and you're just weak, you might benefit more from like some type of bulk in a sense. Meaning you want to build strength and build your muscle first, right? Cutting from a place where you're already small is kind of demotivating, because let's say you're 130, 6'1", you're a small person. You should, if you're 6'1", you should be anywhere between 170 to 190. I'm gonna be honest. So for someone like you, where you might already see your abs and be like, oh yeah, I have abs already. Abs is abs are show muscles. They're like anything else. They're a muscle you have to build. I don't know why I got on the topic of abs, but we're gonna move on, right? So you want to focus on eating on a slight above your maintenance and focus on protein, 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 protein. I'm gonna say it to the day I die. Protein's essential. So let's say your maintenance is about 3,000 calories, right? You want to increase that to about 300 to 500 calories, meaning you want to do like 3,300 or 3,500. So essentially, what you want to do is bulk first if you're lean but small, and then you want to use you want to prioritize your protein, a gram of protein per body weight. So if you're 130 in this case, you want to aim for 130 every day. That sounds like a lot, but as time goes on, you get more acclimated to it. Because I like all of my clients, they're always saying, "Oh, I can't eat this much protein. I'm gonna throw up. I'm gonna throw up." And I give them examples. You can have a whole rotisserie chicken. A whole rotisserie chicken sounds like a lot, but you can definitely do it. A whole rotisserie chicken is about 130 to 150. Don't quote me. It depends how they make the chicken. But typically, that's anywhere would it be. So you can have that. You can have 2 protein shakes. That's most people's protein goal. That's also my protein goal. And I'm over 200 pounds. So if I can do that and hit that, most people can have the rotisserie chicken by itself, and you guys would hit your protein goal. Now, this is like the gray area in a sense, where like, that's why I said there's like 4 categories depending on how you want to do it, where you might be in the middle. You're not necessarily shredded or like fat and chubby, but you're not overweight. So this is kind of where I was after a certain while, where like after like a year of working out consistently, I wasn't like lean, but I wasn't like big like I was. So like for me, it was a case of like, what do you want to focus on, George? Do you want your abs and your definition? You got to cut. You want strength and size? You want to bulk. Me being me, I'm like, I want both. So I'm going to try to do something to get both. And unfortunately, you can't, well, you can do both, but you won't be able to do both as efficiently. You know how like there's a saying where like it's important to prioritize one thing instead of trying to be good at everything because you won't be able to do it to the best of your efficiency. So this is one of my issues even now currently. I care about my shift. I like to train hard. I like to lift heavy. But at the same time, in the business that we're in, right? Or in the business I'm in, it's important to have a certain look to you, right? And granted, most people look at you like, oh, you look great. But this is why body dysmorphia can be a whole video in itself. I'm not gonna divulge too long into it. Long story short, most people are gonna go through this in the anyway. It's just depending on where you want to start with. For me, I'm obviously not gonna tell you guys not to do both. I feel like for you, this is only a guideline, and this is like the best advice I could give someone who wanted to do this. But you can definitely do both. You just gotta really be really meticulous on how you do it. I would just suggest you focus on one or the other, so you're not really trying to prioritize, trying to do both at the same time. That way, long term, you have a good idea of what you want. So let's say for like 3 to 6 months, you want to focus on your abs and definition. Do that first. Then after a while, you're like, oh, I want to get big and strong. I want to do like 315. Then you start to bulk. So it's a general combination of like what you want to do and how you want to do it. So the last part I'll probably talk about in this video is about training heavy. Strength progression doesn't stop regardless if you're cutting or bulking, right? Because you want to maintain as much muscle as you can while you're cutting. And when you're on a bulk, you want to build as much muscle as you can because you have more energy in your body in a sense. You will have more glycogen stores. Protein, as I mentioned, 1 gram per pound of body weight. So if you're 200 pounds, you want to eat 200 grams of protein. You don't have to do it all at once. You could space it out how you want to do it. You want to track weekly, not daily. Also, don't rush the progress. Like the person who enjoys the race with, I forget the quote, and I say it like nearly every day. The person who enjoys the destination will enjoy it more than the person who's doing it for the race. So you cut anywhere for 18 to 16 weeks. You bulk anywhere for 4 to 8 weeks. You can do 12. It depends on like where you're really starting at. But that's what I would just suggest as a guideline. So anyway, long story short, to answer this video, it really depends where you're starting. It really depends where you're starting from, right? So don't try to do something, do it for back and forth for 2 weeks. You want to commit to something. Everything in life is really about consistency. So if you don't do something for a long enough point of time, you're not going to get anywhere with it, right? So you want to stick to a lane, you want to commit, and you want to see it through. Drop a comment down below. Let me know what you guys want, and I hope this helps.